Okay, hello everyone. We are going to keep moving on with radicals. Remember, those are square roots and how to simplify them and kind of work with those some more. So we did just simplifying on Monday. Now we're going to move on to when we multiply two square roots together. And I think we've maybe talked about this a little bit before, but it'll be a good review, okay? So we're just going to go through, I think, 3 examples together. They're really similar to the problems that I chose for on your homework. You'll have 6 homework questions, okay? So I'm going to go share my screen with that whiteboard so we can kind of go through these problems together. So hopefully you can see that now. We have, I'm going to try and move that. We have, we're going to start with 2 square roots. So like, let's say I have the square root of 18. And I have to multiply that. That's a times the square root of 14. Now, I could put that in my calculator, but it would give me some decimal number. That's not what I want. Again, I want to write this in simplified form, so I keep it as a square root. All right? Now, there's 2 different ways that we can do this. This is option 1. You can choose whichever way you like better. I'm going to show you both. On this one, we could do in your calculator, you're going to multiply 18 times 14. You would get the square root of 252. Now, the tricky thing with that, you can check and see if it comes out nicely. It doesn't. It gives you a decimal if you do that in your calculator. So from here, you're going to have to make the factor tree, right, with the 2 numbers like this. And so that's a pretty big number. Now I know 2 goes into it, so I got 2 and 126. Ooh, 126. Now I know 2 goes into that as well, so I'm going to divide that by 2. We get 63. All right, so I got 2 and 63. 63. Let's see, I think I can divide that by 9. I get 9 and 7. Because 9 times 7 would give me 63. Now 7, I'm done. I can't factor that anymore. Nothing multiplies to give me 7. But for 9, I know that is 3 and 3. So I have my final factorization. I got 2 times 2 times, let's see, 3 times 3, ooh, that's not good, times 7. All right, I got those numbers. Now remember, I need doubles. I need pairs. So I have a pair of 2s and a pair of 3s. That means I can take out 1, 2, 1, 3, and remember the 7 stays in the square root. And with these 2, remember, you want to multiply those together. So our final answer, 2 times 3 is 6, so we would get 6 square root 7. All right, now remember, that's option 1. There is a second option, all right? We're going to take a look at that. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we are going to do option 2. So again, we are still going to do the square root of 18 times the square root of 14. This is option 2. Basically, the only difference is here, you're going to simplify each of those first and then multiply. Okay, so I'm going to simplify. I'm going to do my factor tree first. So 18, I know that 18 is 3 times 6. I know that 6 is 2 and 3. So I know that I have 2 3s and 1 2. Now remember, if my 3s, since I have 2 3s, I can take out 1 3. My 2 is still going to be in the square root. So the square root of 18 is actually 3 square root 2. And then I have to times that by 14. Now let's take a look at this one. With 14, I know that 14 is 2 times 7. Can I simplify, or can I keep factoring 2 or 7? I actually can't. So the most simplified form of square root 14 is just going to be square root 14. So now, here's how we do this, okay? I have a 3 out front here. I have nothing out front here. That just means there's a 1. 3 times 1 is just 3. So that goes on the outside. Then you have to look inside at the square root. So I have a square root 2 and a square root 14. Now I do those, I multiply those together in the square root. 14 times 2, I get 28. Now, that's a lot smaller number in the square root to work with, a lot smaller than 252. That's why sometimes it's easier to simplify first. Now, we're still not done because 28 doesn't come out evenly. 28, I think that's 4 times 7, right? I get 28. So 7 I can't simplify anymore. I know 4 is 2 and 2. Okay, now here's an important part. I have a 3 out front here. I still have to bring that with, okay? So I know I have 3 out front, okay? I have 2 2s, so I can take a 2 outside, and I have 1 7. That means the 7 has to stay in the square root. Now, 3 times 2 gives me 6, and I still have my square root 7. So my final answer is 6 square root 7. Whoa, look at that. You can see that we got the same exact thing, okay? So either option works. It is completely up to you which one you want to use when you have a problem like that. I just wanted to show you both. All right, now we're gonna do 2 more problems really quick. So I'm going to clear this. I would pause it if you need to look at this a little bit longer. So I'm gonna clear all, okay. Now, another problem you might run into, which we already kind of did this, but let's go over it. So 3 square root 5 times 2 square root 10. Now, how we do this, oops, I did not mean to do that. 10. How we do this is we have to multiply the outside numbers by each other. Remember, if there's not 1 there, it's just 1. So 3 times 2, I get 6. And then we do the inside the square root numbers. So I have 5 and 10. 5 times 10 gives me 50. So from here, you just have to simplify this, just like we worked on yesterday. So 50, I know 50 is 5 and 10. Oops, 5, I can't simplify anymore. 10, I know is 2 and 5. So I have 2 5s. I have a pair of 5s. So I already have this 6 out front, so I know I have to keep that out there. I know I can take a 5 out front, and then this 2 is by itself, so it stays in the square root. 6 times 5 is 30. So I get 30 square root 2 as my final answer. All right. So that is how we would do a problem like that. I want to go over one more problem. It's pretty similar to this, but it's kind of some different notation, but we have seen it before. So I'm going to clear this. If you want to look at it a little bit longer, pause it. So I cleared that. Last problem is you're going to have some stuff that looks like this. It'll be in parentheses, and it'll be some sort of square root problem. I'm going to do 2 square root 6, and then it'll be parenthesis, and it will say it's squared. All right, I'm going to redo that, see if I can draw better too. So it's squared. Now remember, what that means when it's squared is you just write it twice, okay? Because 2 square root 6 squared is just 2 square root 6 times 2 square root 6 again, okay? So don't get confused on that, and then we're just working through it like normal. So do the outside numbers, 2 times 2, we get 4. Do the inside numbers, square root 6 times square root 6, we are going to get the square root of 36. Okay, then we're doing our factor tree, 36. We know that is 6 times 6. Both of the 6's factor to 2 times 3. So we actually get, let's look at this. I get 2 2's, so I can take a 2 out. I get 2 3's as well, 3 and a 3, so I can take a 3 out. So I have nothing left for inside the square root. And remember, don't forget about that last part, that 4 was already outside, so you also need that one. 4 times 2 times 3, I know 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. So on this one, it actually comes out nicely, okay? So you could have put that one in your calculator and you would have just got 24 to start with, but we didn't know that, so we worked it through and we got a whole number. So that is, that's our new thing for today. Okay, we are just multiplying radicals. Again, I think we've kind of talked about this before. If you have any questions, please email me. Those are pretty similar to what you will see on your homework. All right, that's it.